This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Welcome to the Really Awful Movies podcast, a celebration of low-budget cinema.
It is another apocalyptical prediction about to come true. The winds of death will sweep across the world, and whole continents will be cast adrift in an ocean of blood.
Hi, I'm Chris, and along with Jeff, we're bringing you the very best and worst of horror, sci-fi, action, exploitation, kung fu, and women in prison movies from the 1970s to today. Be sure and check out reallyawfulmovies.com for reviews, interviews, lists, and terrific movie giveaways.
From our downtown Toronto headquarters, here's episode 17B, the Really Awful Movies podcast.
Yes, this is the meta podcast.
Yeah, this is the podcast about a podcast.
Right.
This is like a movie within a movie. So like Truffaut, what's that movie he did?
Day for Night.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm,
and The Stuntman with Steve Railsback.
Yep.
Where they're filming a movie about a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Demons.
Demone?
Mm-hmm.
Demone.
Well, they're not actually filming a movie, but they're watching a movie.
Right?
Anyway, you get the gist.
Yep.
So, we're with her. Really Awful Movies. Why this podcast, who we are, and why this podcast is as it is.
Right. So, I mean, we're hoping that, a few of you guys are listening to us, and for those that are listening to us, we thank you. We really do.
I mean, we hope you're fans of the site, too, reallyawfulmovies.com, which we update as frequently as humanly possible, given our schedules.
We love, we're passionate about these movies. We love horror, we love genre, we love low-budget cinema, and we love writing about it, we love talking about it. And we love the fact that people are reading what we write and listening to what we say. So thank you. And
we try and get all the bases covered. Our mandate is to cover, I guess, kung fu, horror, women in prison movies, action from the 70s to today.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah.
Even a bit of fantasy, sword, sandal, whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, as long
we try and do modern stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, we'll just as easily cover The Babadook and Animosity or any of the more new titles. We don't want to be mired in the 80s. So we try and...
Although there's nothing wrong being mired in the 80s, I gotta say, I do like the 80s. But, I mean, the fact is, I guess if we did have a mandate, it would be basically low-budget cinema.
Yeah. I
think, like, the highest budget film that we wrote about was The Babadook, which was $10 million.
Yeah. And maybe Eye of the Tiger, which was $4.5 million.
Right.
So yeah, nothing above 10, and that's basically the catering budget for your average Brad Pitt movie.
There you go.
So what we're talking about, as our tagline says, a celebration of low-budget cinema. Mm-hmm. So and yeah, again, we're welcome to suggestion.
Yep, and we've talked about it before. I mean, why we love horror, why we love low-budget cinema. I mean, the thing is, there's something to be said about the whole like that DIY aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like most of the time when people make a horror film or make a genre movie, it's because they love
the love. Yeah.
I mean, they're don't get me wrong. There's exercise in cynicism when it comes to this sort of shit. I mean, there's Sharknado and that sort of crap, right?
Yeah.
Like these self-conscious B movies. But most of the time, it's fans of cinema making cinema for fans of cinema.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
exactly
that whole DIY thing, and I mean that's what we're all about too. I mean,
speaking of DIY, I mean our ethos is exactly that kind of punk aesthetic. This very podcast is recorded on a very, very low budget, and so basically what we do is every week we just get together and have varying quantities of beer,
right.
at the table, and hit record and let the thing go. Like you'd be amazed, maybe appalled at the lack of production values that go into this podcast. We have a little tiny recorder, and again, we just hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I guess we should talk about.
But, I mean, and again, like, but what more do we need, right? We got a recorder.
Yeah.
We got our voices.
Yeah.
We got our Pabst Blue Ribbon.
We got actually a copy. Yeah, Pabst Blue Ribbon, and sometimes rum. We actually have copyright cleared intro of a certain movie which we will not name, but if you can name it, we'll send you along a prize. But
we
don't want to disclose it. So
yeah, we actually went to the trouble of calling
the production company
and
probably shocking them with our request,
right?
Because everyone steals things on the internet, and probably every podcast uses some sort of
right.
uncopyrighted, cleared music / television
Right,
theme
right.
or anything. So we went through the trouble.
And the funny thing is, I mean, when I called the guy up, I mean, I won't say the distributor, I won't say the movie, but I said, hey, we want to use this little clip from your film that you're distributing for a podcast, and he goes, okay. I said, so can we use it? He goes, yeah, fuck, sure, why not? I'm like, okay, cool.
Super cool.
Yeah, it was good. So, I mean, if you do recognize the clip, kudos,
Kudos, and you are a bona fide horror fan if
right,
you do.
and support the distributor, because, I mean, this guy was cool. I mean, he's basically, by allowing us to use the clip, I mean, whatever. So, so we have so let's talk about before we talk about the podcast, we start off with a website, reallyawfulmovies.com, which we still love doing.
Yeah.
And so, what was the impetus of really? It's almost like I'm interviewing you now, Chris. I mean, it's our site, but so Chris, please tell me what was the genesis of reallyawfulmovies.com?
Just again to celebrate movies that often don't get the attention we feel they deserve.
Yeah.
And when some schlock with Jennifer Aniston comes out and gets just press all over the world, and then meanwhile there's the Roger Corman of our day, Lloyd Kaufman, who's maybe fighting to get distribution and getting people to see his way more, in our eyes, interesting films.
Right.
So we're celebrating predominantly horror, but everything else, low budget, fun movies.
Right. We should say, I mean, like we've been friends since high school, right? So we've known each other for a long time, and we would get together for a drink, and invariably we would start talking about movies, and we would just start talking about horror.
Yeah.
Or low-budget movies, and we would just have laughs, right? And as we were chatting about these movies, it's like, we're saying to ourselves, like, I mean, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could have some sort of, like, a outlet, where we could, and
share our love.
Right. So the fact that, I mean, it went from just us getting together and just talking as friends to writing reviews on the web with people responding to us, and getting great tons of hits, and this really
tons of hit, and getting a chance to meet and interview some of our idols.
Yeah, I mean,
if you go to our site, you can see interviews with Tom Savini, Leslie Donaldson.
No, we don't have an interview with her. She turned us down.
Oh, okay.
We met her.
Okay,
we met her, but yeah.
All right, yeah.
Lloyd Kaufman,
Rich
Markowitz, etc., and more to come. I mean,
many more to come.
Yeah. So there's that. So I mean, so we figured, okay, we'll create a little blog, I guess, for lack of a better term, and we'll just write about movies, and so we did. And I mean, the reality is, I mean, we've already talked about our genesis. I keep saying that word, but we already talked about our how horror became ingrained within us, and so we won't go over that turf again, but we'll talk a bit more about writing and why we decided to write for the web. I mean, Chris, you're no stranger to writing, right?
Yeah, I'm actually a humor author. I published a book through a Penguin, and so this was sort of a little labor of love, and just take a little bit of the humorous aspect of these movies and focus on that. Whereas Jeff really knows everything about any movie and every movie, so he has the pedant's knowledge, the film professor's knowledge of all these films. So we merge these two things together, you get something kind of interesting bent. Not that we try and both be funny and both bring our knowledge of film to the forefront, but yeah, those are individual perspectives that we bring. And Jeff is an English teacher in his day job.
I am, yes. I'm a college professor, so to speak. I won't say the school, but
and you actually incorporate some horror into your students' lessons.
Oh yeah. We
Lucky
discuss.
them.
Yeah, we talk about Stephen King. We talk about some essays by Stephen King, and I try and incorporate.
It's like Dead Poet Society with like the
Blood and Guts.
Yeah, with the
Dead Poet Society.
Dead.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too. I mean, we talked about writing our reviews. I mean, we didn't want to make these like pedantic, film reviews and talk about the
dolly tracking shots and this is how lighting was used in Eisenstein's and whatever else. And
I think we said like, the day we quote Eisenstein one of our reviews, like they would pack it up. You know what I mean? I mean, so we really want to keep it light. We want to keep it fun. I mean, the reality is these movies are. they're fun movies. Yeah, sometimes the subject matter can get a bit dark, but ideally, when people watch movies for a bit of escapism, a bit of fun, and when you read a review, you also want to have a bit of fun. So we try and bring a bit of humor to our reviews.
And to our podcast as well, as we should say that we're turned off in some respects by some sort of the in-jokes and the sort of fraternizing of a lot of podcasts, especially film podcasts, where you're supposed to be talking about the movies, not what you did last weekend with your buddies. So we always describe the plot, and then we describe our thoughts and give it a star rating, and that's it. So, and that's why they tend to be really short.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Because we listen to a lot of podcasts, and they spend 40 minutes just sort of forgive me for my rudeness, but it was just it's like self-wankery. All they're doing is it's circle jerk. They just talk about themselves and little in jokes for them and their friends, and they're giggling over these things. And we're not saying that we're in any way better than these people. It's just that we don't feel included into their humor, and
if the movies should speak for themselves,
exactly.
And we're just sort of a vehicle for that.
We're not doing it for us. We're not doing it to if we have our own in-jokes, we'll talk about that amongst ourselves.
Yeah,
this is for you guys. You know what I mean? This is for us. In the sense that we like to talk about these movies, but it's for you guys to listen and hopefully enjoy. And what we really hope ultimately is that you go out and actually watch these films that we talk about, because the whole point is this, to spread our love, spread the awareness of some of these movies. So
that's what we'll bring you with the Really Awful Movies podcast. We have a combination of film reviews, bad movies, crap movies of the week, which is an ongoing series we do of all the bad movies we've ingested over the course of the week.
Every so often we'll get a little academic on you guys. We'll do a little, we'll
drop some science on you.
Yeah.
and then the odd time we'll get a high profile guest. So we've got some interesting stuff coming up. Again, we can't disclose it, but if you want to check out an excellent interview with Lloyd Kaufman, I highly recommend that. And other such matters, and we'll keep the guests coming.
We'll keep doing this. This is, like I said, it's a labor of love, and we love doing it.
And we love to hear from you, so email us, reallyawfulmovies@gmail.com, and be sure and check out our site.
Yeah, and keep on listening, guys.
Yeah,
and
reallyawfulmovies.com, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.